he's saying is we want to examine and flesh out the process of how this is going to work, as opposed to the details before we dive down. And I don't think we're going to have the time to do that. I think, I mean, as companies, and I have a little bit further distance to come than some of you, but to my company, it's important who are you involved with in this process, right? And the more flesh that's there, the better. Yeah. What is the process?
Maybe you should have a several star system, not just one diamond with sides to each other, but maybe one star more the shipper's view, one star more the shipping line, one star more the railway company.
That's what I mean when discussing the concept. I mean, what Bernard presented here was to subdivide this into seaside, landside, and so on. You could also subdivide this in several views, like for example the port authority view, the shipper view, the carrier view. I don't know how to name it, but you could solve it differently.
I don't think our purpose here is
I think what we're going to do today is we're going to stick with the. I think what we should do in the end is I should show you the biographies of the 40 or 50 opinions that we have, people that wanted to come, so that you can see who's already in the process. And because you see, we've had shippers forums, we've had the Port Authority, we've met them all the stakeholders. So I think maybe if we stick with the suggestion of creating our strategy to the end of the year in terms of meeting content,
would be useful for us, and that's the point I think we should focus on.
I just wanted to add a comment that it was responding to Mr. Boss's comments. And he's just gone, so having a telephone call. He mentioned several times that we do have these KPIs.
Yes.
Of course he has these KPIs, that's why, he's on board. I mean, we want terminal operators that do have, the necessary information, otherwise, we would be, again, working in a vacuum. We are not in the business of inventing new KPIs. We are trying to standardize them where it is necessary to make them uniform and then to interpret them in the same way. I think that's where the challenge will lie. Not in developing again a set of KPIs, which we all do. We can find them all these times. The other point is, the terminal operator knows, the shipping line knows, the shipper doesn't know.
But that's a
black hole. He doesn't need necessarily to know, as long as he can see the star.
But Gustavo, I think in the sequence of events, we have to agree exactly on the point you made first, before we move on to the other stage. And that's what we like to put on a time frame basis of what the process will be, I think.
Okay, where did you find it? Yeah, exactly. Because we're not investing in this KPIs.
That was in the detail, but we can work that out.
You want to get your picture now, sir?
Yes, please. I'd like to
Here and downstairs. So Mr. Senna asked me to put you in front of the...
Yeah, sure.
Who is it? Is also very much on the same line.
Good.
I mean, I'm not against it. No, I have been certain...
No. Thank you very much.
We do it a short light check, but
yeah.
you can do it like that.
Yes. Thank you very much. So said you're being on both sides.
The most time 10 years in just one with RMD is Mr. Reuters.
Yeah. Hey. Yes, thank you. It wasn't meant to be anti-American about this, but it's typical for research.
You're talking about the ball.
Yeah, for example, but I could give you an example.
Never met anyone put it to the point of view. Like explain it exactly.
Yeah.
Just throw it out. I don't know.
That's
from the language.
One of the things you have seen, the first sheet is showing number of...
Could we have a picture altogether?
And of course they have been fighting. Yes, I've also the number of moves.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to work without reverse.
We need chairs, people sitting in.
So we have 2 rows, please?
2 rows.
Short ones in the back and the tall ones.
May I invite you to take a picture?
Whatever you say.
We have 2 rows here, and so that everyone can see me. That's all right.
Let's smuggle it
That's what we like.
Like the trade, sorry.
Stender, können Sie ein bisschen in die Richtung gehen?
Yeah.
And you more in this direction, please, yeah? Yeah, this gentleman here?
What's that?
Yeah?
Me?
Okay, this is perfect.
Okay.
And the guy, you're in a gray suit, yes, this is perfect. And can you move like 1 centimeter in this direction? This is perfect. Okay? And you like 1 centimeter in this direction? Yes? Okay. Okay. Yeah? And I need you a little more out of the picture. This is perfect. Yes. Okay, we start now. Wonderful. Yes. Okay. 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 Can you do me a favor? 1 centimeter in this direction. You cover the gentleman behind you. Yes, this is perfect. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Short light check. Okay. I'd like to do 1 more picture down in the hall, and then you're done. Thank you very much.
We are humble terminal operators and not media.
Yeah.
Last year was happening.
Yeah, I do like it. I sent you an email. The outskirts, it's fun.
Let's go on.
Good Friday, sure, it was a pleasure.
Yeah. Let's go on. Well, everybody here?
Everybody who's not here should raise his hand.
That's what it is.
That's the European way of doing the business.
Better check time departure first, because we have, I know we have 1 person who will leave
Yeah.
And it's Sunday, yeah?
1600 you said.
Okay.
So we have 2 hours and 10 minutes more to go. And I would suggest that we start with Kieran, showing us who is already in this story. And then after that, we establish the schedule until the standard is ready. And what has to be done, what has to be decided.
So this was Nicolette van der Jart, who is the Secretary General of the European Shippers Council. But the important thing to remember, she visited with us in Antwerp in her capacity as one of the founders of the Global Shippers Forum. So this was formed in September 2006. Shippers from around the world refer to it as a tripartite shippers group. The new name more accurately reflects. And the new organisation will be capable of meeting the challenges and opportunities on a global basis.
She wanted to be here today.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes.
She couldn't make it.
And the Global Shippers Forum is the biggest single representative body for all shippers globally. It's the European Shippers Council, the Asian Shippers Forum, the Hong Kong Shippers, Japan Shippers Council, the North American Forum, and the Canadian Shippers Association. So she was their voice. Welcome to the standard. You'll see her contribution in the white paper later. Anyway, then this is Fer van der Laar, the Managing Director of the National Association of Ports and Harbours. He was very much an emissary, representing the landlords, etc., etc. Bernard, Dr. Devani. Frank Coe, Head of Container Operations at PSA HNN. If I can just get this view, it would be better. Yes, I knew there was one underneath. So Frank Coe, sorry, this is Leo Mulders from DECTE here in the hinterland, and representing that interest. I think the interesting thing about Mr. Mulders is that he also is the representative for Deutsche Bahn, right? Okay. So Deutsche Bahn. Then, as I said, Frank Coe. Hellman have given us Marcus Lever, who's their global CFATE director, based here in Hamburg. He was to be here today, but again, he's on the Easter holidays. This is Paul Ham at ECT, European Container Terminals. And this is Luke Jacob, who is the Vice President for Ocean Freight at DHL here in Europe. And we found his contribution immensely helpful. This is Etienne de Viche, who is Hutchison Wampo as representative in Brussels. And this is a 3PL in Spain, Juan Marzado from Lotus Fashion. The Stiller Group in the UK, who are again a small group based in the UK. He was there to represent the independent point of view. Bertrand Bounard, who's from SGT. SGT are an upstream logistics quality company who perform audits, etc. at point of origin. And just another point of view that we wanted to have. Thomas Wallmuller, Director of Operations at DECT. Dr. Wilde, of course. Wilmer, of course. Jan Ley is the project leader for us at the Dublin University College of Business. And that research department are behind the writing of the white paper and more of the kind of academic part of the paper. And then I would say, yes, again, this is a consultant, Dieter Mu, yes, exactly, Managing Director of Geneva Services. So they were a cross-section of who attended with us in Antwerp. And then we went to Long Beach. Maybe I don't have to turn the presentation master. Excuse me for 1 second, I'll just go to Hong Kong. Might be easier. Oh, it would be if I had it there. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, I'm going to have to find that document. Sorry, I thought I was on the money there, but obviously I wasn't. Okay, just give me a moment. So basically, from the impression that you should get from Antwerp was that it was a multi-stakeholder meeting also, okay? The people that didn't show up on that biography from Antwerp were Kingfisher, Mark Trundle, representing directly a shipper itself, and I think that's the only glaring omission from there. Yeah. So all of these people have expressed an interest in supporting the development of the quality indicator, and they have indicated their willingness to participate in the Hamburg Committee. I think your point was, at which stage do we invite in the various stakeholders? You know, is one of the sessions given over to the landlords, one of the sessions given over to the shippers, and the logistics service providers, etc., etc. So I'm going to go back over here for a second. So if you can just pick it up from there, I'll find this.
Can I just say, in the essence of time, going back to your point and something I guess I was trying to say as well. Because of the sequence of these events in terms of the process being forward and the timing is essential for all of us to be able to plan this. I think if we I suggest to spend the time thinking about that process and time frame, and at what time or what stage in the process we start bringing in these people, the shippers, and obviously the carriers as well. That will be my expectation of the next 2 hours. At least if I can get that there, I will say, okay, then I have something to go back and communicate and see how we can support or be part of that process. Without that, it will be very difficult for me to, basically keep on singing the same song.
We need to have another meeting to do that.
No, we can do that now.
We can't afford that, right?
Yeah. It will be the same story for you, I guess.
Yeah, very much the same.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, I think we would need some 4 meetings. We will summarize after every meeting the new contents of the standard. We go on our webpage. And I would suggest that from the next meeting onwards, we will invite also the other stakeholders, like shippers and carriers, to participate.
In terms of the meetings, do you have an idea of how many?
Yes.
Is this an iterative process where each meeting covers all areas, touches on all areas, or is the idea that, okay, this meeting is about one specific area, where you bring in shippers for this one meeting for those 5 days. And is that, what is the concept so far?
The concept is that we develop a standard from one meeting to the other. So we simply would, like we have done it with the Food Chain Association, we would have people around with the knowledge. They could get the knowledge also prior to the meeting in form of papers or something like that. Everybody who would like to contribute can do this. We will put all the knowledge which we get into the paper which we have. We will circulate the paper prior to the meeting, or it can be downloaded from our webpage. And we simply go on in an iterative process, say in 4 other meetings to come up to the end of that standard. And within the Food Chain Association, we needed some 4 or 5 meetings, I think, here in Hamburg to get it done. And this was, I think, an equal challenge, more or less.
Okay, so that flies in the idea of our thought process was we might send different people depending on the content. Okay, that doesn't make sense in what you're saying.
It is possible. I mean,
it is possible.
What we could do is identify different aspects. Say, I'm talking to the blue. We're saying we have 5 different aspects of quality. Say what I write down: productive customer care, innovation. We have storage capacity, fast retrieval, information management. So that's it. Then we identify who is going to participate to each of these aspects. And then you could identify, I'm going to send, for example, for fast retrieval. I'm sending my best man from Mr. Something over to this meeting to identify indicators that would point to a good quality of fast retrieval, from which we could derive quality, key performance indicators.
Nice. Could we look at the architecture this way as a starting point? So we're at -1 now, so meeting 1, a suggested date, the subject we're going to cover, and who we need to participate. Yes. We try it that way?
Yes.
Okay, so in order to make it logical, what we need to do is we need to basically we need to prioritize what we need to do first. Firstly, it's important that all the terminal operators are on the same page before anybody comes in.
Yeah,
so it looks like meeting 1 is, if you use the 10 to 4 routine, seems to be working for us, maybe we could do the morning, the terminal operators, and then maybe we could bring in somebody, or maybe it should be all just terminal operators for that first one. All terminal operators?
Well, I'm not so sure,
okay.
Because the terminal operators keep telling us that we need the influence of the shippers.
But I think we have a chicken and egg problem.
Yes.
Because going back to what Gustav had mentioned before, it would be difficult, and please, my other industry colleagues, feel free to chip in on any time. From what I can see, it would be difficult for us to move on to a stage to bring somebody beyond that doesn't really understand what we do inside the terminal unless we agree
that's the first
how we're going to do it.
I think that's what you need to do.
Because that's the basis, although that's not the end game, but that we felt that that's the basis.
You have to have that foundation.
We have to have that foundation, whatever is, how do we interpret these figures?
What are the KPIs?
How you gonna, on the basis of what interpretation you're gonna say, okay, yes, you are best in class, running your inside world. Are they equivalent or not? I guess it goes back to exactly the point that Gustavo was saying. And until that happened, I don't see how I could be involved.
So basically then, I think what the shippers want to have an input into is about customer service and performance. What you guys want to get out of the way are the productivity, the KPIs, which are going to be the established productivity metrics, as agreed by the industry. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, so does it therefore mean that in advance of this meeting, Dr. Wild, Dr. Dumani come together and say, here is our glossary of terms. This is the glossary of KPIs that we've heard mentioned. Before you come to the meeting, could you please order them as you prioritize them, and please add any additional ones you think we might be missing. So then if we aggregate that before the meeting, we should have the family of KPIs, and then we spend the day prioritizing and defining the ones we're going to use. Does that make sense?
That's only for KPIs. We also need that best practices, training.
And again, when you say meeting one, that's a 5-day meeting, right?
5 days.
No.
I thought you said five.
5 one-day meetings.
Five
Cover the whole bit and kit and caboodle. Now, by the way, Europeans are very optimistic. Steve.
Okay, that's what I understood.
We have done it already. This Gutschein. 5 1 day.
It's not very nice, fine one day.
I'm afraid this is more complex than
Yes.
Gutschein. Yes.
That's what they will say.
Yeah, I really think so.
Okay, we need 6.
You know, we have to understand that culturally, when we say 5 right now, what we're doing to ourselves is we're saying that's as much. Don't ask me for any more right now. I can only see 5 is a lot, and the enthusiasm for meeting 3 might push enough. You know, but I think we shouldn't try and.
And my personal opinion on this would be that a meeting of one day, like today, is nice for an inaugurational meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
To know each other, to understand what's the subject, and to see the way forward. This is what we both are aiming for. We are all aiming for.
Yeah.
Just as a matter of trying to continue, is the first meeting, the first real meeting.
Yes.
I would suggest to put it for 2 days. Don't kill me, I'm telling you why.
Yeah.
We start, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
You go all day, and I mean all day.
Yes.
And you have a joint dinner somewhere.
Yes.
You continue to swallow the ideas and to have the possibility of a bilateral chit-chat
Yes.
during the evening up to whatever, 12 o'clock, whatever as the time lag allows you to do. And then you have the next day a relatively productive second day, which you can make an early cut. Early, what I'm talking about is flying, things like this. So people have still the possibility to reach destinations within Europe, still by plane. So this I would suggest from a meeting technology.
Okay.
Good.
And now put the contents to it in the
So we're going to call you the realist from now on. We'll be I think that's very real.
He just started to be real.
This is the Eurogate way.
I mean, the only way I see that working is if there's work ahead of time, there's
Yes.
preparation.
Yes.
In other words,
including all the preparation.
in other words,
still you need
you have to have the
this
questions outlined.
bilateral
How
things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be. You're having at the end you have 20 people around the table, 30 people, 40, 50 people, and there is no possibility to come to a conclusion. Forget it.
Right, yes.
So you have to have this possibility of this bilateral things.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to have to cut your sessions.
Small
I mean,
groups.
just from a meeting. But
Very small group.
it's a suggestion for me to you.
No, it's very
If you like it or not, it's up to you.
Now, sir, now that you're down the middle, only for terminal operators the first 2-day meeting?
No. I would put already, because we could do it, if I think it's absolutely correct, we could invite the second interesting part already on the second day.
Secondly, yes.
So what we're
Not the first day, but
Not the first day.
what I'm trying to say is we have to come to, we terminal operators have to come to an idea, including the evening bilateral talks. Next morning we are freshing up after the last glass of red wine. And then, it's a European way of doing it. ¿Cómo se llama?
I'm fine with it. I'm fine.
And then we could invite then whoever. Now, who is the whoever? Is it going to be, to my understanding, is either shipper or carriers?
Yes.
Now, I mean, the audience may decide who's going to be.
I'm a little bit afraid.
Why?
I'm a little bit afraid. Okay.
I'm surprised I suddenly get to the point. A lot depends on the amount of work that has been done before the meeting. Because what I would like, ideally, to work effectively during this first day, that everybody, all the terminal operators that join in this venture, send me, first of all, their definitions, so that we can, compare them, put them together, and then we can work, on, what is the definition ultimately that we will retain.
Yes.
Secondly, a choice that you provide, that the terminal operators provide for what they consider to be the KPIs that they think should be in. because that helps us to be far more effective during this first morning at least. And then, you know, we can start looking at how this fits in the wider framework of the standard. Because otherwise, you know, we're going to spend 2 hours on one definition, discussing, this is my definition, no, this is my definition, no, I think you shouldn't put that in. Vague and so on.
I'm fully in agreement with you. I mean, you give us your definition of the KPI, of all the KPIs you feel, and we would answer and say nah, or different. And then you have the possibilities and say, okay, we have another 5 KPIs, or we don't believe into this and blah blah. And you put all that stuff together, circulate it before the meeting to all of us, and then we have the possibility of constructive discussions. God bless you.
Thank you.
And all your children as well. No more late. Okay,
I give you a joke at the end.
And also the Maersk have just invested in a thing called Quizdom, which means we'd all sit here now and we have one of these, and you can literally say that KPI, you like it, you don't, prioritize it 1 to 10, you press 9 and it aggregates the 10 opinions immediately. It really pushes the meeting along, so we can, because you're always wondering what does he think. This kind of gives you a way of, and they're giving us a loan of it, so the Institute have use of this. And it's very simple now, it's just a handheld device, 10 numbers, right? So you strongly agree with this statement, 10, you strongly disagree 1, and then it aggregates it and shows you what the feedback. It just keeps the meeting moving.
But I think we have to do as much as possible prior to the meetings, so that we need the meetings only to harmonize our views, which we couldn't harmonize before.
Harmonized and exposed to the outside, to the other
typical
parties.
management issue, you are only dealing with the differences.
Correct.
You know, it's simple. And that's an 8-hour thing, and we have to, I mean, because we are getting older, we have to have some resting time and some time to fight.
Oh, yes, always.
And to love, of course.
I'm not allowed to do this for the last 40 years.
But don't you think, just to be diplomatic about this, right, and just to continue consensus, I think the KPIs should be presented as a glossary, not in any order, a glossary of terms, right? And then the glossary can be added to, but then I think you should ask the stakeholders to prioritize the glossary, right? So that at least you're not putting word, this is the challenge.
It's a bit more complex.
Okay.
We need to provide, the KPIs. We give a term, the terminology.
Yes.
We put it in the matrix. That matrix will say to whom is this particular KPI valuable.
Perfect.
We want each of the terminal operators to give their view on that.
Yes.
And next then, we have a column in which we would like them to complete how they define the particular KPI.
Okay.
So that we can see the differences between the various terminals.
You're
There will
not
be differences.
You're not
They'll be all the same.
You're not going to give them a generic description.
If I do that,
I know, you're putting words in their mouth.
they're all going to go about details, the full stops, the dots on the i's, and so on. I want them to say this is exactly the way we define it in our internal organization. And once that is done, we can see also, are there any major differences between the 4 or 5 terminals that are in? And then the meeting would be to say, are these differences important? Can we find a middle way, or a common definition that we can then propose?
But we do not talk only about KPIs, we talk about the entire standard.
Yeah, okay,
So
that's the next one.
Read this through, give us feedback, so that we can prepare this one as a second version.
So are we all, the meeting technology, I think that's a great subhead just to get it right. So I think the meeting technology, which is about the 2-day event, it starts, as it says there, 2 days. One is the workshop with just TOCs, yeah. And then evening dinner to allow for bilats, yeah. And then second day is our guests. Now, what I find from doing these, the only thing I would add to that is the feedback piece. Okay, so that at least we have a feedback session when the guests are gone. if you know what I'm saying, so that we capture the essence of what it is, rather than, you need to kind of wrap it up at the end. So maybe just a feedback. Not everybody needs to be there at that, but I think if it ends with a feedback, then and a feedback and then the next agenda.
So that format